Well, good morning, good evening, everybody. Welcome to beautiful Kent, Washington, where we're enjoying a brisk autumn morning. Got my warm beverage here to warm me up from the inside. Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Kevin. Down there on the southern hemisphere, Paul, hope you got a soothing beverage to allow me to help you lull off to sleep this evening. And it's time to start forging up yet another leaf keychain. Although I might switch things up today. I'm going to show you here in a second, here at the anvil. I'm using a shorter bar here than usual, and as a result, I'm using tongs with a clip inspired by Christ-Centered Ironworks. Roy over there has one like this, and it's starting to lose its rigidity. So I abused it too much at some point, I'm sure. It was also one of my earlier leafy projects. So they're not quite as pretty as they could be. So I'm thinking about making another one. Replace this one. Turn that down just a little bit so I'm not blowing everybody's ears off. There we go. Clean up that taper that was the result of the end of the last leaf's work. If you're a newbie coming to this channel, you'll find out this is a newbie project I do beginning of every live stream, and I might as well point out that you can keep making them off the same bar over and over and over again with very little gap between start and finish, simply because one naturally leads to a second one and a third one, and yada yada yada. So I'm going to go ahead and mark down the block of metal I'm going to make there for the lobes, and then we'll go put it back in the fire. I need to throw the metal I worked, the spring steel I worked last week in on top of the fire so it's warming up and then normalizing and then warming up and normalizing, etc. We're a frosty 45 degrees this morning. Proper autumn weather. So no complaining about that, really. Just stating the facts. We've had rain on and off again, but this morning is a sunny morning. Don't even have to turn my spotlight on to get things going in here. So you might be able to see my face better. So it's not competing against the sun as much. Let's see. Doubt it. Cameras are only so smart. That might have helped. I don't count on it, but it might have. Hi, Auntie. How are you? Love seeing you here. I was thinking to myself, I wish more of my family would come by and say hi from time to time, and look what happened. This is my Aunt Carol joining us here. Come on. I'm losing heat, all because I can't see my material where I put my divots. There we go. This is much harder to do when I'm holding on to a tong rather than the material itself. All right. And there goes my tong clip. I'll get it back on there in a minute. Get things squared up. Heat her back up again. How's everybody's weekend starting out? Anybody make anything interesting this week? I created a spark connector to Snowflake this week. That sounds like a whole different thing unless you know that I was talking software talk there. That was my week making things. Didn't have to build a chicken coop this week. Didn't have to make a new chicken run. Just worked the day job. See, we're making a nice long taper there. Everything's gotten twisted. See if I can get it untwisted. And that's what I get for not paying close attention to the way I'm striking everything. Yep, we're not twisted anymore. That's good. All right, heat it up, draw it out some more. Ah, you did get the dinner bell going. Did you happen to record it, or do I just have to hope you get a chance to post some photos? Morning, Rob. Welcome to Smithy. I should take more breaks at work, I'll tell you that. I sit there at my desk all day, staring at the screen, trying to figure out what mistakes I've made, what thing I need to learn next to be effective. I never take the breaks except to go deal with biological necessity. That's there we go. Let's not burn it off. Done that enough times. Yep. Square things up. It's not an absolute necessity to square things up, but it helps with sight lines, knowing that I'm getting things in the right place. All right, we're close. So Kevin, did you forge that mustache and then weld it onto a bar, or how did you make that? I love that rake. All right. Not the cleanest transitional taper, but that is the length I'm going for. My wife asked that I try to make a more tendrily looking end, so we're going to give that a try. I came out after the rains last weekend and found my anvil covered in layer of rust. So I decided to spray it down with WD-40, and now the forge scale's sticking to it. Stationary engine. What does that mean? It's not my mustache rake, but you know what? I probably could show it to you. Let me see. It's Kevin's mustache rake. I need to figure out how to be able to have you guys come hang out in here with me. But first, I think the answer is we go over here to Discord. We have it very confused about me trying to do anything other than live stream. We'll go ahead and sign in. Beep, beep, boop. That's what Discord says. It asks me if I'm a human. I told it I am. I have to go check my email now because I've never logged in from this machine before. Yay. Make sure it didn't land in my spam folder. Discord, there it is. Verify. Come on, Discord, be happy with me. This is thrilling content, seeing the blacksmith get ready to show the awesomeness that is Kevin's skills here. Come on, where are you at? YouTube Lounge. Island Metal Forge. Was it dropped in there? Yes, it was. So now I can come over here. We'll go to chat. We will turn on the window capture and we will share. How do I do that? Spotlight. Let me guess. It's in the wrong screen, so it doesn't know how to deal with it. Let's fix that. Now let's try it. Control Center Dock. There it is. Now you have to admit, that's a pretty cool rake. And it does look hand forged to me, but I can't say for sure that it wasn't fabricobbled. So it is a very cool, it is very cool. No doubt. So there you go. Let's go ahead and see. Oh, yeah, I'm going to snap that off if I'm not careful. All we're doing is rounding the stem now. Of course, it wants to twist on me because I made the base of this thing so thin. Probably Probably should have held off on that. Rounding, rounding, rounding. I think I need to make that a longer taper to make it into a tendril. So let's do that. No. My rake is this silly thing. It is not a rake. It's a bent piece of metal. Actually, I have two rakes for different purposes. One's great for scraping the bottom of this thing, and the other is for doing what I'm doing now. My rakes aren't mine. He was inspired by my actual mustache, not by my rakes. Here, I'll show you. Because my rake, this is the handle end. Just a bit of flat bar, and here's the rake end. Simplest tools, right? And then my other rake, which is great for scraping the bottom and also breaking things, breaking coke up. I'm sure somebody in this live stream can identify what this is, but it is now a straight rod with that bit on the end, which actually tends to be useful for scraping the bottom of my V-shaped forge and breaking up clumps. Hey, Dabaka! We got you and Kevin and Rob and Paul might still be awake. Very close, yes. Very much like the crank for your tractor. I can't say for certain what it is, but I can tell you what I believe it was because it was found in a hawthorn tree on our property. And the witchy folks on our property, the ladies in my house, were none too pleased to have a piece of steel or iron in their protection tree, as if somebody tried to hex it. So the thing to do is take the bent iron and straighten it out. That's what I did. But it was indeed a crank-shaped lever. I thought maybe for a scissor jack. All right, it's warm enough to start doing some taper work on it before I burn it up. And it's just gonna twist right off. Reason why you don't work a round taper, you work a square taper and make it round. Otherwise, you're just going to twist off the thing you're working on. Right. That's definitely got a hairline fracture there at the base. I'm probably smarter to take and cut it off at this point. And start holding the tongs with the other end. Let's go ahead and see if I can flatten the leaf part first. What time is it where you're at, Daniel? I'm lucky to ever sleep past a crow making a noise. I got some extra rest this week. Got some extra rest this week for a change, but not because I'm any good at getting rest, but the body kind of forced it upon me after I went and got my COVID booster. Definitely everybody should go and get that done, so that's a less of a worry for life for you. That is weird how that shaped up this time. And there it snapped off onto the ground. But that's all right. I needed a drink of coffee anyway. Get the flat jaws out now that I have a flat area to hold. Yep, time for a drink. Oh, okay. Yeah. For me, I've been fortunate. I haven't had COVID during this whole pandemic thing. And I've gotten all my inoculations, and the worst I've felt from that is just I need to get an extra day's sleep. And I do mean an extra day. So that's what happened Monday. I started work Monday morning and decided that isn't going to work. I can't keep my eyes open to stare at this computer screen for this day. So took the day off. Well, the good news is I have learned, whether I'm on the near side of the anvil or the far side of the anvil, how to prevent the leaf from snapping off from the stem. I haven't quite got the, let's do this way. Bring the just keep bringing that back. Make it a little longer, and then we'll tendril it up. That is my fault. Let me see. That is likely. Yeah, I can fix that. Do. Yeah, the mic is. I just needed to turn down the gain on the mic in the app. Let me know if it's still statics. It's just quieter static, or if it's just now ringy. There we go. Try not to burn off that end. It's wanting to burn off. Get that to be a nice long taper, so I can then scroll it up real tight. All tendrily like. My leaf isn't done. You can see by the thickness of it that there's more I can do there. And I don't need a whole lot of heat in this fire at this point. It'll just burn things up if I use too much. All right, let's turn it down just a hair more. And I can definitely get louder personally, so that's not an issue. I used to perform in theater and nobody ever was worried about having to put a mic on me. All right, let's keep pulling that taper back. All right, I think that's about as good as that's going to get. Let's get it so it transitions nicely. Round it up. I think I lost the very end that I was worried was burning, so that's fine. See if I can knock off these corners. Still have heat in it, it's just not a red heat. And it's very thin material. Working with small material, I should be able to do some planishing basically. And of course the end's twisting on me. So work with the twist instead of against it. I might have to adjust these tongs. All right, I'm going to warm it up just a little bit. Now you can barely hear me. We can adjust that up just a little bit. I'm going to have an accidental corkscrew effect on my tendril, but honestly, tendrils can have that, so it's not bothering me to worry about. Just a little tappity tap tap. All right. Up in the heavier piece, it's a little bit more of a whackety whack whack. looks nicely rounded. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can make a tendril. And the question is, how do I want to go about doing it? I've got some thoughts. I think what I want to do is roll it like a spiral on itself, and then we'll push it through. I've got a little punch I can use here for pushing it through. So let's see if we can start with a really small scroll. Really small scroll. Wonder if I can put a filter in OBS to tell it to clamp down and not allow the peaky stuff to happen. Wow, that cooled off so fast at the tip. I'm gonna have to do scrolling tongs to get what I want going here. Let's bring you over to where I'm going to be working more. There we go. If I want this scroll to even start to bend at the tip, which looks like it wants to just, yep, break off. Working at these temperatures on such small material is very, very hard to do. It's like I just barely need to warm it up instead of adding oxygen. You see, I just put it in there. I didn't really do anything with it. Okay. Bring you over where you can see that work happening. There it is. Yep. Just rest it in the hot fire and it gets hot enough. Or in the hot coals, I should say. Well, I'm not going to get this super tight scroll here. Let's just keep on doing it. Warm it up, try some more. Tendrils are not easy, it turns out. At least not on tiny stock. Now that I've burnt off a couple of pieces on the end here, I'm a little gun shy. Unlike normal scrolls, tendrils aren't all beautified with their scroll shape and stuff, but it doesn't mean I don't want it to be exactly like nature. Sometimes we do exaggerate in our presentation of nature so that we can present a prettier version of reality. Start from the thick point. I hadn't even thought of that. Keep that fire going. I'm going to open this back up just a hair. No, I'm not. Not that way, I'm not. There we go. Because I don't like the way the scroll is looking. There we go. Use my scrolling tongs to get it in the camera's view. Used the scrolling tongs. Used the scrolling tongs to then tell the camera, please focus, so that I didn't have such a strange flat in that area. Now it looks a little bit more like I wanted it. All tenderly and such. I love that my wife gave me the challenge to do something a little different than what I have been. Makes my brain spark. We're gonna, nope. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay. I don't think I have enough runway to do more than that. So now I'm going to finish the leaf and scroll it around back on itself. I think that looks tenderly. I'll think about it some more and see if there's more tenderly work I need to do down the road. But yeah, I'll have to give some serious consideration on how to not burn off the tiny parts down the road. All right, I'm going to switch hammers here. Thought I was going to have to cut a piece off, and I didn't end up. Let's go over here. Go to my little, what is that? Farrier's rounding hammer. I think it's the one I see that Yamez likes to use too. Over on Island Metal Forge, in case there's somebody that comes along here and says, who the hell's Yamez? That's who Yamez is. Let's go ahead and get that chunk of not fuel out of there. Clinker. All right, let's get this fire back to that doesn't look like, let me see. Oh yeah. Yep, that's what I thought. That's a chunk of metal. We'll put that right there because it's fun to see. It glows different. This bag's definitely got more clinker going on in it than the other one did. I'm getting all sorts of dragon snot. There we go. Hey now. Happy wife, happy life is what I've always heard. Seems to have worked out for me so far. All right, fire is properly stoked. Let's go ahead and heat up the, I gotta get a hold of it first, but there we go. Heat up the leaf. I'm not holding those with my hands, dummy. First rule of blacksmith, all metal is hot, and that's pretty close to metal right there, so. If it isn't metal, I'd be surprised. Be fun to take a bunch of dragon snot, as we call it, or I should say, I think it's Kevin that calls it that, and see if it'll actually create a good bloom. I'd be shocked if it did, but at the same time, it'd be fun. Smash it all up, throw it into a bloomery kiln, and see what happens. That's the difference between a real blacksmith and me. I got all the time, money in the world to mess around with things like that. They're trying to make a living. And they're throwing away this stuff because what the hell's the point of keeping it around? Wow. That is not the shape I want my... Let's see if we can pull it out a little more here. Go. All right, let's try not to snap it off there. I have a leafy shaped kind of thing now, so I feel good I can go forward from there. There we go. Try to keep the tip out of the hottest part of the fire. And straightened out nice. Good, good. All right. Now, let me give it some life. But we need it to be a little warmer for that, or else it's not going to do it very nicely. And it'd be good to use a peen of some sort. Straight, cross, something. So we're going to break that one out. Hi there. You probably shouldn't come in here. I got to stop for a second because this is important. We're going to pull out. We're going to turn around. Yes, we are, because they're being so quiet and good. And I'll introduce you to Bob and Doug. Coo 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 coo. Hi guys. I give free hugs, but I don't think you really want them. You just want to be around the area, huh? You want to see your favorite human. Favorite because, you know, he's the one that feeds them. I mean, I know this is a blacksmithing stream, but how could I not share that? All right. Turkius interruptus. Yes, indeed. All right, I'll turn you guys back around and I'll let you see what I did here. Hey, pretty boys. These are my fluffy boys. There we go. Something like that. So I was watching one of Alex's videos this week that he published, Alex Steele. And thankfully he did something blacksmithing related for a change. Nothing against all the other things he's doing, but honestly I came to him because I enjoyed his enthusiasm for blacksmithing. And he was saying that this anvil is now a collector's item because his foundry stopped being willing to make them because he had high expectations of them that they couldn't necessarily meet. So, all right, this is the tricky part. Let's hope I don't burn it off. I gotta warm it up, bend it around, and then we call it done. Let me grab my scrolling tongs because I don't think I'm doing this at the anvil. I didn't name these. These are rescues like so many of the other animals on my property. This was Bob and Doug. Came from a woman who had adopted them as chicks when the pandemic basically had stretched on enough that she thought she'd be working from home for good, only to have Boeing, where she worked, tell her that she had to come back into the office. So head of turkey? Why head of turkey? Something I'm missing there, Daniel. All right. Just warm enough to scroll it over. Come on. Scroll where I want you to, not where I don't. I think that's going to make for a very happy bride. I think that is pretty close to what she was asking for, right there. Take advantage of having a good shaped cone on the horn of my. Tighten that up just right. Yep, hit the ground. Time for some coffee. This is now almost ready. I need to close that up so the loop doesn't fall off. Let's put it back in the fire and keep our fingers crossed. Yeah. Does dropping it in the fire count as dropping it? Let's try that again. Grab it. One of the chickens is not happy with one of the roosters, I think. Head of gobbler. Okay. There we go. There we go. we go. I don't think anything's squeezing off of that. And now I know it's not. I like it. That's not going to work very well in anybody's pocket, but that's what my wife asked for, and that's what I've got given her. So hopefully somebody enjoys that. Now it's time to clean it off. Cool off some tongs. Actually, I'm going to end up cleaning it, then putting it back into the fire, so cooling off the tongs wasn't really the right step at that point. All right. And got to hold it with something while cleaning it, so. Go ahead and mute you guys so you don't have to hear them. There we go. All the scale taken off. We'll go ahead and warm it up to put some wax on it. So, I'm not familiar with too many plays, to be honest, because I did musical theater, and so I'll have to go look that one up just so I'm slightly more cultured in the next move, next conversation. All right, that's all the warming up it needs. I'm sure that's probably too hot at this point. And such exciting content here as we show the finishing steps. That's the one thing that I appreciate of watching Black Bear Forge is he shows the work, the failures, the finishing steps, all of it. Not everything is an amazing success. Let's see if I can grab that from the leaf side now. There we go. But it's awful fulfilling when it is a success, and it's awfully fulfilling when you got multiple failures and then you get a success. So I think that's why kids love video games as much as they do. There we go. That is that. Now, there's a couple of different projects I need to get out of the way just because I've been neglecting my own shop. One of them is the fact that I have this Black Bear inspired hook ruler, which I'm now going to have to go and look and see if I can find one with metric, because it's great that it has you know, standard, is that the word? Imperial, that's it. Imperial. But it would be nice if one side was imperial and the other side was metric. So I'll end up buying another one and doing that. But what I don't have is a place to actually hang it. I've just been shuffling it from one spot to the next. So I'm going to create a hook to be able to hang it on the side of my anvil stand, which is a stump. So it's real easy to make a hook like that because you put a nail on the other end. It always gives me goosebumps. Okay, wait a minute. Now I need to backtrack and see what gave you goosebumps. Well, now I don't know. Are you talking about Hedda Gabler? Only done Oklahoma, Evita and Annie on stage. So I did Oklahoma. It's my least favorite musical because it's basically a musical about bullying and seeing if the bully can actually win the girl. Just never liked that. Plus the music just isn't all that for me. But I did perform in that one. I haven't done Evita or Annie yet. I did a bunch of Gilbert and Sullivan, but there's so much more yet I would like to do because they're just fun operettas, as they call them. My favorite show so far has been Guys and Dolls. Oh, the wax, yes, the finishing part, goosebumps. So yeah, my favorite traditional musical was Guys and Dolls. The music is just a lot of fun, and you know, the performance is a lot of fun. And it's funny because I didn't intend on joining that show. I'd been doing musical after musical, mostly Gilbert and Sullivan musicals. Then I did a couple of plays, one of them being, she did the Christmas Carol. And I just needed a break, but they begged me to come back and play and said, it's not a major role. It's a named role. I was I'm trying to remember what the police detective's name was. I can't remember what his name was, but so there's that. But yeah, that was the most fun. You can have a lot of fun with the choreography. It was a hoot. So let me put this someplace I won't forget it. Oh, look at that. And this is what one of the biggest problems with working small stuff like this is. It cools off so fast that you're likely to snap something rather than actually form it the way you want it. But yeah, that worked out great. The loop is closed up real good. I'll be able to put a keychain loop on there with no problem and worry that it's going to fall off. But there's the tendril she was, I think, looking for. We'll find out when I bring it into her after this live stream. And let's take a look at the battery life on this. Where are we at? We're at 40%, and that's while it's plugged in. That's crazy that it takes that much power to use the hardware encoder for this thing. I'm going to end up switching back to software encoder and see how it behaves. But the reason it's chewing up the juice using the hardware encoder, just so you know what I'm talking about there. Hardware on this Mac, it has an AMD Radeon Pro in it, and graphics cards are just power intensive. Just crazy power intensive. It's the best way to get the best video to you guys, but crazy power intensive. All right, so hook. Let's make a hook. I would like to make the hook, okay, here's what I would like to make the hook like. I'm going to move some stuff out of the way and use the surface of my anvil as something to draw on and see how good I can be at drawing this thing that I'm thinking in my head. Grab my pencil. We'll zoom in. That's about as good as that gets. Focus a little. So I would like to make, is this going to even show up well enough to be able to show you? I would like to make a nice taper for the nail, but I would like, for the hook to come off of this down and just, it doesn't need to be a major hook, just something like that. But I want this part here to be mushroomed, or basically a head for a nail. I'll scroll that just a little bit so I'm not stabbing myself. So that's what I would like to make. Let's move it over so you might be able to see it better. There we go. Yeah, you know, that would make a good chalkboard. You know what I don't have any of, though? Any rusty sheets laying around here. I will probably rectify that, or I will get different colors of a crayon in here, because it's just basically grease pencil, right? Or I will start keeping a whiteboard out here to put right on top of my anvil and start drawing on. So I'll come up with something like that. But that's what I would like to do. And I think to do that, what I'm talking about doing is fold over, yes, a folded and welded drive hook. Exactly, that's what I was going to say. A fold over drive hook. So never made one of those. I can't even say I've watched anybody else do it, but I think I understand the process. And I think I can make it out of this same 3/8 inch rod that I've been making leaves out of. So, and that way I don't have to try and upset the head. All I have to do is draw out the other part. So the question is, how much of a fold over, how much do I need to fold over to make that actually work well? And would it be smarter to start with the taper and the hook end? And I'm thinking it would. And then I just basically cut it off where the head would be. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's see if my fire went out. Oh, it's trying. Looks like it burnt through most of my charcoal already. We can, nope, there's still charcoal under there, so it's not out altogether. Let's pull some of this up. So, actually that's fuel as much as anything else. I was going to say, I can show you some of my other hooks that I've made, just for fun. Actually, I made a drive hook before, and it's currently what my butcher block is on, but it wasn't as slight as this is, which it needs to be because, yes, Jack, you just did it again. It needs to be slight because that hole has to fit over it. And it doesn't need to be very big because it's just a very thin piece of metal and I don't need it to be stabbing me in as I'm walking by it or anything. So, and I'd like to actually see if I can forge weld in this thing. I've never tried. Well, in my case, it's going to be hold my coffee. Too early for a cold beverage right now. Let's get the fire back up and going here. As I think about it, I think I'm going to flip this around. There's definitely heat in there. Flip it around and just straighten out this bend I had created. There we go. Too much talking and a hand cranked coal fire goes out. There we go. Oh, I know. I kind of never kind of slotted into any kind of specific grouping of people, redneck or otherwise. I grew up with rednecks. Weld on top of the burning coals and bury in a mound of hot but not flaming coals. Yeah, that's what I was thinking is going to be the interesting challenge, because I've never tried to forge weld from here, only in a gas only in my gas forge. And a piece of metal is still in there, keeping. Probably should turn it around and warm up the other side. Let me do that. Spring steel being in there, getting up to a normalizing temperature. At least that's my hope. Doesn't mean I know what I'm doing. Stay. Dag nabbit. What part of stay did you not understand? Now I gotta stop and take a drink of coffee. All right, there we go. Biggest reason to put tools away is otherwise I won't remember where I didn't put them away. All right, let's go ahead and straighten this bar out. This was a test piece I had done for a sign hanger that I still have to make. All right. Good enough. Now I can start my taper. Yeah, that's what I figured is I definitely need to pump a lot more air through here to be able to do this and have a nice tall stack of so I've been practicing with that concept today. You probably didn't notice it, but I've been trying not to bury my material deep into the fire, but have it higher up and push more air through, just so that I can get the feel for what does it take to make that happen, and can I still make it hot enough, in this case though, without burning it up. So he probably used some of that pixie dust on it, just feeding it regularly to the fire for the fun of it. All right, that means I need to pull more coal on top. There we go. Another shiny object will do that to you every time. It does for me. All right, well, clearly I can get up to sparkler temps by doing what I just did. Those sparklers are hot. They're melting some stuff on the top of the stump. All right, so when you get the fire this hot, you barely just have to lay the metal on top of it and it's ready to forge. Nice. Competing with the sun as far as knowing what temperature my metal is fun. Thanks, Kevin. Let people know that. I need to figure out how to make one of you guys, or multiple of you guys, moderators, considering you're always on here. I don't know the moderator game at all yet. I'm sure I just need to take and spend a half hour looking it up, and then I'll be ready to go. That looks relatively nail-shaped. Oh, that's right. This wasn't the nail side. I'll work on that in a minute. That's after I bend it over. This is the hook side. Okay. Which is looking pretty good too. So, do I need this to be rounded? Wouldn't be hard to do. Probably would look better. So I think I will round it up. Let's cook the thicker part first. Hot scale stuck to your hand. Oh my goodness. I hate when it pops off and lands on my hand. I don't know if I've ever had it stick to my hand before. Just give it a minute though. It won't be stuck there long. You just have a little less skin in your hand at that point. I'm putting this a lot deeper in the fire than I need to probably, just because I don't want to get the thinner area too hot. I'd like to have that heat travel down to it instead of burn off. And I want to spend time stoking the fire up. All right. There we go. Round it up. All right, I don't need to scroll that up. Let's draw that back on there just so I can see what I'm doing. Close enough. All right. If I consider all of that into that, yeah, that'll work. Okay. So, I think where I need to get it hot now is way back here. Fold it over. Flux it to make it so that the scale will come out of there, which reminds me. We can help that out just a little bit right now. All right, so I need to get it nice and deep in the fire. Got a lot of coke cooked up on top there. Bring some more in. And this is now a nice, very dark, glowy red. Let's move it higher up. Don't need to cook my coil spring. I just need to get it up to a nice temperature so that everything's bouncing around a little bit in there. All right. Put it up over there for now. All right, now to read what Daniel says, because Daniel's been doing this more than I have. Yeah, because it'll actually forge down a bit when I'm done. Fold like an inch or two of material to make the drive head. The rest of the drive nail is just one tapered piece. Yep. The rest of the drive nail is a single piece. Stick out past the hook side. So you think it might make sense to go ahead and finish the hook first. I have to think about the dynamics of this. So normally, it means I would normally be, of course I just messed that up. I think I see what I've forgotten here. This bends over and then bends back. So you're right, I don't need a whole lot here. So I need to bend it over, leave, yeah, I mean it doesn't need to be a lot. This will end up drawing out just fine. Then bring it back. It's that second bend is the actual forge weld bend. All right, got it. I don't need this to be, I don't need to be that far yet. I just need to be that deep into it. I'm heating up the wrong spot. Well, you know what? I was holding off making the hook, but I think since the hook part will not be in the fiery area once I'm done, I can, let's see, we'll find it. Still thinking it through. Still thinking it through. Trying to decide if I want to make the hook first or not. Having the hook first would help me with sizing the rest of it. So it's not a horrible idea. So I think I will make the hook first. There we go. We'll go ahead and give it the... Would have been smart if I'd done that part first. Okay. Scrolling tongs. I just want a tiny little scroll on the end so that it's big enough to go through the hole. But when I finish the hooks bend over, all right, let's give it a try. There's my hook. Perfect. That'll do just fine. I think I'll actually scroll it a little bit more so it's tighter in. I'll put the tip of the hook up so I'm not getting it as hot, burn it off. Yeah. I like that third rule of blacksmithing. I think it's accurate too. It never gets hot where you want it. Oof. Don't grab the wrong spot. You'll regret that. There we go. There we go. Give it one more try with the hook. There we go. Pretend that's the hook where it's at, where it's supposed to be. There it is, just nice and there. All right, that'll do. That'll do. Now I just need to bend this that way. You said the fifth. A tool placed in the wrong place tends to remain in the wrong spot. No kidding. Fire make hot. Yes, that's the first rule. That's the one I always have to teach the kids as soon as they want to come over here and see what the blacksmith's doing. My neighbor just down the road runs this terrific nonprofit. She has a piece of farmland that's in an part of the ag preservation zone, and she opens it up as a place for families to come and see an active farm with a bunch of different animals. And then of course she has things like bounce houses and snacks and food that you can feed the animals. So, all right, so bend it towards the hook, then bend it back on itself. Yes. Now I get it. And a tool put in the... No, I don't call that the right place. I call that a safe place. See, a tool put in a safe place tends to stay lost. That's definitely for sure. There we go. All right, that's hot enough to get the bend where I need it. Think about this. Am I going to do it the wrong way right now? I feel like I'm going to do it the wrong way right now, but I think this is the right way. If it's not, I can always straighten it out. Of course, the biggest problem is I probably shouldn't have made the hook yet, because now I don't have the ability to get a sharp corner here. Let me see. I can go over, do it over the... I don't want a sharp, but...